So they talk about the measure of a man. We always go through something in life where we're challenged. The challenging part is, do we do the right thing because of circumstances around us, or do we do what we feel we want to do regardless of the outcome? I mean, I don't know. It's the question we gotta ask ourselves.
Let's talk about it. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. So, Joe, when you hear that, what's your first perception?
First thought. The ultimate measure of a man, the first thing I'm asking is, what is a man, right? Are we talking about sex? Are we talking about responsibility, integrity? Are we talking about character, right? But then it goes further. I think about myself. I'm like, man, am I always a stand-up guy, regardless of whatever happens? Am I always a stand-up guy? And am I doing what's right all the time? So that's what I think of.
Okay.
You?
Off the top, my first perception when I hear that statement is more of a reflection, like, what am I doing when nobody's watching?
Yeah, I can see that.
So like when I hear that, my first perception is it's about character. Period.
So stop. So it says in times of challenge and controversy, right? So in cases where I'm by myself,
Yep.
shoot, I do what I want to do. But when you're tempted, tested, tried, I mean, a man's supposed to do what he knows right, regardless.
Yeah. So story time.
Okay.
Time.
All right.
Story time. So I'm gonna hit you with a quick story. My dad passed away my junior year of college, 2002. And for me, so I'm applying this quote to like that moment in life.
Okay.
I'm a junior year of college. I'm the oldest son. And I get the call. And now I don't know if this is true or not, but what I feel is everybody in my family is seeing how I respond to that situation.
Mm-hmm. Your father passing.
My father passing.
And
so
you're getting the news.
I'm getting the news. Okay. And so I get back home to Charlotte, and I have my younger brother feeding off of my energy, my perception. I don't know if this is true or not. But this is the pressure that I feel on myself.
I can relate to that.
My younger brother looking at me based upon how I do it. My dad's older sister, who like raised me, is like my mom, looking at me, and my cousins, who are like my sisters, looking at me. So for me, in that moment, it's real easy in my head, man. If a parent passed away, you get your affairs in order. You do this, and this. But in that moment, I felt like I could have folded and just deflated and like zoned out, or I could have stepped up and, although this is something I never experienced or been through, try to be the leader of the family that I thought we needed at that moment.
Yeah.
So for me, in that moment, when I'm being tested, not really tested in the sense of like a challenge, but a challenging time, rather than folding and just like, oh God, my daddy left me, what am I going to do? I did my best of stepping up. So for me, my character was tested in that moment, and I used, I tried to be the best brother, nephew, cousin I could be for my family.
All right, so now I'm finna throw this at you because I did not know that. I did not know that you experienced that in college. Now I'm gonna tell you, as an adult with 2 daughters and a wife, I experienced that same feeling. And me and my dad was cool, but he didn't raise me. We were just cool. Mm-hmm. And his older sister called me 2 days after Christmas, and she tells me, your dad passed. And my first thought was, kind of like a teenage boy. Okay, well, I'll show up at the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
No, you got to plan the funeral. You gotta pick out the casket. You got to figure out the financing. And in that moment, also, it felt like everybody was watching how you were going to manage or handle this situation. And I can't front. I didn't have time to grieve like well, some people say I should. I still don't think I have to this day because, I mean, that's just
Same.
right?
Same.
But hold on. So let me challenge this on both of our ends, though, too, right? Because I feel like being a man at that point in time is standing up, being strong, dealing with the situation. I'm leading it. This is how we move.
Yeah.
But could it also be, man, let me grieve and handle it. Cry.
Yeah.
Get a shoulder to cry on, whether it's whoever's, and you see me get that out.
So let me run it back, right? So now then this is the hindsight 2020 moment, right?
Is this a learned lesson? Is this the learned lesson session?
Yeah, this is the learned lesson. So we're going to call this hindsight 2020.
Because we're trying to do something here.
Yeah, so hindsight 2020. Hindsight 2020.
Which we should call that.
Yeah, I like that too. I think the grieving part was important, right? So I think, again, in times of challenge, so like when we look about, ultimate measure of man is not where he stands at moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. So one of the things I just got hip to is pain plus reflection equal progress. In that moment, I didn't reflect. I just jumped into action. So reflection could have been taking some time to like grieve, taking time to like process this. I didn't do any reflection. Right. I just went from getting information, jumping into action.
Yeah, so you didn't have time almost. It felt
like I felt the external pressures of I felt like I didn't have time to really reflect and process the information. So hindsight 2020, I think what I will pull from this now is before jumping into action and doing something, having time to really process. So I'm making the best move.
Yeah.
And whatever that move is, rather than impulse and just jumping into action.
And I like that because hindsight 2020 on my part also is when you don't know, you don't have a pattern or a path in which you could follow someone else's footsteps, you tend to be reactionary and just in action because you don't know, can I take 3 days to kind of like process, think, read, study on what I should do? You feel like, okay, get something done and get it done now.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that about you, man. That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope. All right.
So I guess based upon what your initial perception is and think about the time that you had, what would be your hindsight? So what would you tell your former self kind of in a hindsight 2020?
Yeah, I still stand on the ground that when things get challenging and when things are in controversy, you still must stand as a man and do what's right. And when I use the term man, I'm saying adult. I'm not saying gender specific.
Okay.
I'm just saying as adult, you have to do what's right. And no outside influences should sway you left or right on what you truly believe and what you truly stand on. Hindsight 2020, as it relates to the topic and the subject, I couldn't tell you what I would do different because I didn't know what to do in the first place other than boots to the ground, get something done. But then you got traditions and he should be buried in 3 days, 5 days, all of that stuff that could play. So
Got you. All right.
You're not getting off that easy though.
Okay.
Oh, you get your hindsight.
Yeah, I get it. So as we're trying this new thing, the show is called Bursting Bubbles, right? So hopefully as we're working through our process, we're bursting our own bubbles, and hopefully that reflection period with the hindsight 2020 will help us think about things differently. So we invite you to, what is your thoughts on this subject, and how do you reflect on what would you do in this situation, and how would you move forward?
2 seconds. Bursting bubbles was something we threw out in the beginning. Let's just remind them of what bursting bubbles is about.
So bursting bubbles, you can tell them a little bit. You was the creative that helped come up with the language.
Well, just in simple terms, breaking perceptions.
Yep.
Bursting your own ideas and ideologies.
Man, don't burst my bubble.
Right.
I'm feeling good about myself.
Right. Bursting those.
Yeah.
Getting another perspective.
Yeah.
And if you still stand on your bubble, great. If not, grow, become something different.
Exactly. So it's kind of a play on that, you know, when somebody's in a vibe and they're in a really good space, like, man, don't burst my bubble, like, it's a good day. Well, we're actually inviting you to burst our bubbles because we want to grow and expand.
Exactly.
Cool.